Hello, my name is Kaylee, and today I'm going to be unpacking the truth on GMO misinformation. My main argument is the widespread misinformation surrounding genetically modified organisms, GMOs, highlights the urgent need for better digital media literacy so people can learn to recognize false information and make informed decisions based on reliable sources. So today I'm going to be talking about 4 main points, starting with the role of GMOs, what are they and what do they do? Then public perception, how does public opinion diverge from scientific consensus? Next, misinformation, how does digital media fuel GMO misinformation? And digital media literacy, what role do these skills play in combating misinformation? Firstly, the role of GMOs. What are they? Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, can be defined as organisms in which the genetic material, DNA, has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally. It can also be referred to as modern biotechnology and gene technology. So by introducing the bacterium Bt and certain viruses into genetically modified crops, it allows for the creation of virus-resistant and herbicide-tolerant crops. These crops require lower amounts of insecticides. They also make plants less susceptible to disease and overall make higher crop yields. Are they safe? Genetically modified foods need to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. In Europe and the US, substantial equivalence is the most practical approach to determining the safety of genetically modified foods and food ingredients. So this approach believes that if the modified food can be shown to be essentially equivalent in composition to an existing food or food ingredient, then it can be assumed that the new food is as safe as its conventional equivalent. So it's important to remember that Bt is currently used as a conventional insecticide in agriculture right now and is safe for human consumption. WHO, FAO, OECD, EU Commission, French Medical Association, U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and Toxicological Society all claim that the current safety assessment processes for today's GM crops are adequate to determine the significance of risk to human or animal health. Now let's move on to public perception and the difference. So, while the adoption of GMO crops has increased, consumer knowledge has not improved accordingly. Public knowledge is actually very low. Most consumers do not understand GMOs. According to a recent Latvian direct consumer poll, almost 1/2 of participants believe that a person's genes could be altered as a result of eating GMOs. Also, more than 2/3 believe that modified genes from GMOs could enter human reproductive cells and be passed to offspring. While familiarity varies by country, even consumers from the number 1 producer of genetically modified produce, the US, have a very low knowledge on GMOs. So as for source of knowledge, 77.3% in this study said they get their source of knowledge on GMOs from the internet, while only 13.6% gain their knowledge from scientific papers. So why is this important? Media sources are effective at reaching massive amounts of people who otherwise would not have sought scientific studies on their own. However, they can push inaccurate, incomplete, or misleading information. They also distort scientific facts and exaggerate the risk of GMOs, leading to unwarranted public fear and skepticism. Moving on to misinformation. To define misinformation, false or inaccurate information that is deliberately created and is intentionally or unintentionally propagated. In this presentation, I will use misinformation and fake news interchangeably. Fake news is shaped to replicate true news by mimicking its characteristics to mislead the public. Fake news is not a modern term and has ancient ties back to Roman times. However, in 2016, the US presidential election led to a huge spike of fake news in the media. Now, looking at the disease triangle, I just thought it was an interesting framework to look at fake news in the media. So, developed by George McNew in the 60s to understand the epidemiology of plants and their diseases, the model states for a disease to manifest, 3 fundamental elements are required: the environment, infectious pathogen, and host. According to this course case study, social media is the environment, fake news is the infectious pathogen, and readers, individuals, and society are the host. The spread of fake news can hinder the effectiveness of public health response while propagating confusion and distrust in the society. Fake news can be referred to as an infectious pathogen in our society. Now, as for social media, the aim of social media is to create content that will garner millions of views. Additionally, social media enables people to engage in social interaction, communication, and entertainment. Social media allows for the monetization of fake news. The prevalence of misinformation of GMOs on Twitter is a major concern. These narratives distort scientific facts, amplify risk, and contribute to unwarranted fear and skepticism among the public. So these can look like GMOs cause health problems like cancer, GMOs are part of a plan to control the world's food supply, and GMOs are part of a scheme to depopulate the world. Lastly, digital media literacy. With widespread fake news and misinformation running rampant in our society, measures must be taken to combat their impact. The implementation of fact-checking tools significantly reduces the spread of fake news. But more importantly, teaching people critical thinking and digital media literacy skills is another step in the right direction. By recognizing false information, people can begin to make informed decisions based on reliable sources. Some final thoughts. While public perception may differ from scientific consensus on GMOs, it's important to base your opinions on reliable and vetted sources. Hopefully you now understand what GMOs are and how, despite misinformation online, they are backed up by scientific experts. Thank you.